Neuralink. Neuralink is one of the first examples of implantable brain-computer interfaces, and as of now, it's mostly being used for medical purposes, such as improving the quality of life for paralyzed people. The next Neuralink missions are BlindSight, with the objective of restoring vision in blind patients, and telepathy, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is the first stage of these types of technology, and as time goes on, we might start doing stuff like downloading information from the internet straight into the brain, making us super intelligent and a master at whatever task without the need to study or practice. It's possible that a sort of brain internet becomes reality, where we're connected with everyone else, and we might even become a hive mind with immense amounts of knowledge. You can imagine how incredibly powerful it would be to have every single human brain combined, but this would come at the expense of individuality, and with the moral consequence that people who don't join the hive mind would be severely impaired when compared against it. Of course, this is all speculative, as it's not known if it's possible to upload our consciousness into the digital world, but if it is, humanity might reach immortality, either by putting its consciousness into robots or by entering a digital simulation where time is diluted, thus giving us a subjective sense of immortality. Also, super virtual reality video games where you're actually in the game might come to reality. It's important to note that if all of this is possible, it could come with great risk, as if these types of technologies were to be manipulable or hackable by others, you'd be giving your perception to someone else for eternity, enabling him to do crazy stuff like putting you in eternal hell. CRISPR gene editing. This one is like a high-precision tool for cutting and editing DNA, and when it becomes even better thanks to research, it might enable us to do real-life customization on living things, such as changing height, body shape, hair or eye color, and talents such as superintelligence. This will of course cause the eradication of many diseases, genetic and non-genetic, and the rise of the use of highly personalized medical treatments. Not only that, but it could be used in crops for more efficiency, more protection against parasites, and more nutrients, potentially eradicating famine altogether. As of now, the main limitation is that the stuff used for this technology comes from bacteria, and for this reason, the transport system to the target site is problematic because when they are transferred to a host cell, it produces an immune response against them, thus disabling them. Another big thing is the ethical problems with this technology, which causes research to be slowed down or stopped by policies such as the one by the World Health Organization, which asked to put a stop to CRISPR experiments that caused the birth of altered humans. Since these types of genetic editing will probably be inheritable, people say that future generations can't give consent to the genetic changes that could affect their lives, and that a phenomenon called designer babies will emerge, where people design their baby just like how they want it to be, playing as God. Also, long-term side effects aren't well known, so it could be seen as playing with future people's lives. Quantum computing. A quantum computer uses quantum physics to perform tasks much faster than a classical computer. For example, in 2019, Google demonstrated that it could complete a calculation in 200 seconds that would have taken the most powerful classical supercomputer at the time 10,000 years to finish. They're mostly better at cryptography and machine learning, while it's thought that for easier tasks, classical computers can be faster. The machine learning part is especially important for artificial general intelligence, which we'll talk about later on in the video. A theory called quantum supremacy says that once we have better quantum computers, we will be able to make them perform tasks and solve problems that can't be solved by current classical computers, giving us an incredible amount of other scientific discoveries, but also completely bypassing every cryptography effort, which might be problematic if cryptography doesn't find new ways to improve at the same time. If someone had such quantum computers right now, he could probably enter every top-secret website or database without a problem. Also, quantum computers might enable us to make faster and better quality simulations, such as that of molecular systems, thus speeding up discoveries in every field, such as medicine and medical materials in our example. The main challenge as of now is improving the number of qubits while managing errors at the same time. Humanoid robots. Once AI becomes good enough for physical and risky tasks, we'll be able to make them do them instead of humans to increase safety. This would come with the automation of physical jobs before the automation of every single job, even the cognitive and artistic ones. Whether it's a good thing or not is debatable. Every person would probably have a personal robot assistant, especially for the elderly. We would see the rise of robotic sports and the use of humanoid robots for error-free surgeries. Also, without a doubt, they will be used for sexual purposes. As of now, the closest thing we have to humanoid robots are the ones from Boston Dynamics, which you might have already seen. Generative AI. Generative AI is in its first stages, as AI-produced content is still detectable by a keen eye. but with time, it will become impossible to tell the difference from real life. This comes with the democratization of content creation, a similar phenomenon to the video game industry, where indie developers can now produce better games than multi-millionaire studios. At some point, we will be able to create cartoons, films, video games, and education materials with a single prompt, enabling each person to play customized video games created by them. This will come with the eradication of many occupations, which seems to be happening at a small scale with programmers and voiceover artists after AIs have gotten better at generating lines of codes and realistic speech. Also, it will become increasingly harder to rely on videos or photos as proof, be it in court or for public opinion, and disinformation will be much easier to spread and multiply. Starlink. Starlink is a satellite internet constellation that enables areas with no internet connection to receive it. With time, it will probably become the fastest data transmission method, and it will be crucial for communication between planets if humans start colonizing them. For this reason, it's one of the most important steps for the future of long-term space missions and the advancement towards humanity being a Type 2 civilization. Artificial wombs. Artificial wombs would bypass the problem of fertility and potentially the demographic problem that hits developed countries with low birth rates. Its goal is to replicate the environment of the natural womb to grow baby humans, and it will be one of the most crucial steps for space colonization, as it's one of the only ways of creating new humans in space environments. Fusion power. This one is a proposed form of power generation that would generate electricity by using heat from nuclear fusion reactions, and it's one of the most currently researched types of energy sources. This could provide us with almost limitless and clean energy in the future, reversing climate change and reducing the cost of electricity to zero, thus enabling us to reach the poorest zones of the world and to complete projects that would require too much energy as of now. Internet of Things. The Internet of Things refers to a web of smart devices connected to each other, and with machine learning AI, it would be able to customize itself to your preferences automatically. For example, if it were in your home, it would be able to close the light at the right time and keep you constantly at the perfect temperature. If put in cities, it would be incredibly efficient for traffic flow, waste management, and public safety, potentially eradicating crime in its later stage. We would be able to collect real-time data about the air quality, water quality, how full places or parks are, and we'd be able to auto-manage appointments. This obviously comes with the greater risk of hacking and abuse from authoritative sources to gain power. Autonomous cars. 43,000 people in the US die from car crashes, and this would potentially solve it. No more driving licenses or driving training would be needed, and if an autonomous vehicle could be integrated with smart cities, it would be incredibly efficient in getting us to places much faster. This would come with the unemployment of taxi drivers and the reduction of needing one car per person, with the rise of the phenomenon of car sharing. However, one of the most famous ethical problems is found in this field. Should automated cars prioritize protection of the passenger or of others? Space tourism. As of now, rich tourists are able to go into suborbital flights with services like Blue Origin, which enables them to see Earth from space. But with time, it will become the norm to stay in space hotels with features like zero-gravity sports to enjoy while traveling between planets. The goal would be to make travel between planets as easy as traveling between countries. Mixed reality. At one point, either through the use of technologies like Neuralink or through special glasses, we'll be able to fuse the virtual world into reality. For example, we'd be able to go into a store and see prices on items as we watch them, or have virtual education environments in real life, like medical students being able to perform surgeries on fake virtual patients, or history students going in the actual historical time they're studying. This type of technology would also enable us to talk face-to-face to someone distant, potentially removing the social problems currently caused by too much online interaction. 3D printing. 3D printing is only used for really specific tasks as of now, but with time, we will be able to print organs and tissues, removing the need for organ donations and enabling us to print houses, skyscrapers, cars, etc. This would also allow for local and on-demand production without the need for long supply chains and large inventories like we do now. This would also be one of the key components for human space colonization, as sending stuff from Earth to other planets could be really costly. At one point, we might be able to have replicators, which are advanced machines able to create anything by combining atoms, such as food, materials, or whatever else. Blockchain. Decentralized blockchain currencies might be the primary form of currency in the future, as they have the probable benefits of less inflation, democratization of currency, and the impossibility of faking historical payments. Financial platforms would be decentralized, and people would be able to lend, borrow, and invest money without needing financial intermediaries. This would come with potentially less economic power for the government if it does not own the blockchain currency, as it could be much more difficult to collect taxes. If we take a look at the generalized benefits of the blockchain technology when not applied to money, it will enable us to have better ID systems for privacy and ID protection against fraud, better supply chains and companies, and even fraud-proof voting systems. AGI. AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence, and it's a more advanced level of AI that can understand, learn, and apply intelligence across a wide range of tasks, just like humans do. When we reach AGI, our current way of living will probably be more different than the jump humans made from prehistory to the modern age. The fact is that it might happen sooner than we might think. An ex-OpenAI employee estimated that we could reach AGI in 2027, and the ability of AI to do research on AI, creating a positive feedback loop that will cause what is called the intelligence explosion, which is an incredibly rapid progress. You can imagine how effective it would be by trying to picture hundreds of millions of AI researchers working on improving AI at their best efficiency night and day, 24/7, with each AI researcher being 10 times faster than a human researcher. This could come with an explosion of new scientific discoveries, such as the eradication of every single disease and famine from the world, and technologies that we can't even think about, just like a prehistoric human couldn't have been able to imagine what Bluetooth is. Another scenario to keep in mind is that explosive technological discoveries come with explosive military discoveries, such as easily accessible weapons of mass destruction that will necessitate just one criminal to destroy Earth. If you want to discuss this video or suggest an idea for the next one, join my Discord, link in the description.